It's a magical, mystical time. It's anecdotal adventures.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Anecdotal Adventures Reads Worm. The arc we are reading today is arc 5, Hive, I believe it is called. Last time on Worm, what happened?
Oh gosh, I don't have my notebook.
I have mine. We're both so unprepared for this. So unprepared, in fact, that we forgot to introduce ourselves. My name is Ashley.
And my name is Cassidy.
We're so professional.
What happened last time? Yeah, let me see if I can find which notebook it is. I have like 4 on my desk. It's not that one.
She just threw it over her shoulder for listeners.
Not that one.
And she did it again. Oh boy.
Also not that one.
This is amusing to watch. It was a little bit of a rhetorical question. But last time on Worm, lots of things happened. It was Arc 4 Shell. Bakuda escaped prison. Well, not escaped prison, but Lung escaped prison. Bakuda helped him.
And bombed half the city.
Taylor got a concussion. It was not great. The Undersiders...
We didn't even touch on concussions. We are both very familiar with that injury.
How many concussions have you had in your lifetime, Cassidy?
Reasons. I have had 4. Wait, hold on.
I need to count.
I have had 4.
I think I have also had 4.
Woo!
Look at us. We're the matching concussion buddies.
Brain Maraca Club. Everything just jiggles around with me.
So we can relate to Taylor. Concussions are not fun.
Especially probably one severe, like, she got... Oh my gosh. Could you... Like, I've had ear problems before... but never ear problems and a concussion. Because explosions are really hard on your ears, guys, if you didn't already know. So that plus concussion can't be fun. You could not do anything. You just have to lay there I feel like closing your eyes wouldn't make it better.
Yeah, and
keeping them open would be
so we should keep
horrible.
In mind in the next arc that we are dealing with a concussed Taylor. Taylor already makes bad decisions. This is a concussed Taylor.
Concussed Taylor, and Wildbone made a point of having the other characters being like, oh, you might be moody and say stuff that you don't mean to say, which is true. Just saying, you have no filter when you're concussed.
You say everything that's on your mind. The good, the bad, everything.
Everything. No filter. This is going to be very fun, especially since her 2 worlds just collided, and last chapter she stood up to her bullies, so shit's gonna go down.
I can't wait. An update on my experience with Worm, because where we last left off, I had only read a little past arc 6, so we were almost to the point where I caught up. That's changed. I finished Worm and am now reading the second book, Ward, in a week. I don't have to have any restraint. It's great. I'm living my dream.
For some reason, this seems to be all about Cassidy's genuine reactions, which are usually unintelligible screeching and gasps.
Well, yeah, those are the reactions we want to hear.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And since I'm the one guiding you through Worm, I feel like I should know a little bit more about it, especially since I'm currently running Weaver Dice. Like, I knew a bunch of the lore details that weren't introduced until after Arc 6 already, because I was planning a Weaver Dice campaign at some point in my existence. So some of the lore-based details I'd already spoiled for myself. But now I know everything. Almost everything. Which means that, any comments, any things that get passed our way, I can now read without fear of spoilers. Go me.
And you get to do that thing where you make the face, just that author face when I say something, and you just say that,
Yep.
And no one can read it.
Oh, well, I mean, the listeners can read it. The listeners have probably read past to where we have. If they're reading along with us, they've passed us by now. No one can have the amount of restraint that Anyway, we're getting way off topic. We are going to be reading Arc 5 Hive today. I'm so excited to get into it, see what a concussed Taylor is like. And we will come back to you once we have read it. So we will see you all then. And we are back, having finished Arc 5 Hive. Cassidy, what did you think?
It was definitely a roller coaster ride of a lot of different emotions.
Well, let us start with the first thing that we get for Arc 5. In 5.1, they are at a bar, restaurant, Somers Rock, with a meeting with a bunch of other villains from around Brockton Bay, discussing the ABB and how they have gone out of control and how they're going to deal with them. So many things happened in that one chapter alone. We got a lot of names. First of all, we have Kaiser and his two ladies at his side, who we know later have powers that can turn them into giantesses, Fenya and Menya. I would like to point out that it's interesting that there are two people with the same exact powers, and they are siblings, with the rules that this world has set up so far, right?
Yeah. Which means, yeah, that is really strange.
Maybe they had like their trigger event at the same time, so it
But
was
it
the
would have
same
to be-
event.
It would have to be exactly identical, and then they would have had to view it in like similar, if not identical ways. So either they had to be very, very close, or were raised in some sort of cultish environment. At least that's what my head is going to.
I think that this whole arc is giving us more information on the ways that powers work in this series. That's sort of an overarching thread that we can know all the way from Arc 1 to the interlude, is that we get so much more information on how powers work. But we also get from Kaiser, who apparently the Empire 88 group has the most parahumans in it, which is a fact I didn't want to know, but okay. And we get some names for them: Craig, Knight, Fogg, and Hookwolf. Hookwolf is the only one we really get any real personality with. There's Purity, of course, but we know her deal already.
Hookwolf's personality is not great.
I mean, he has a tattoo of a swastika with a wolf styled over as it. He's the type of person that, and he's a murderer. Like, he escaped going to the birdcage. He's the definition of not a good person. Textbook villain, you're okay with getting punched in the face, kicked in, getting their teeth kicked in. But we get Coil as well, who is defined as a chess master type villain. That term stays around, so I just wanted to point that out, that they will call villains that are strategist chess masters or masterminds a lot.
I'm writing that down.
I think Lisa is a chess master.
Of course, that's
This is-
the only thing her abilities let her do.
We don't know Coil's power, but he knows he may not have abilities at all, because no one knows what they are, and he leads a group of completely unpowered people, not to be underestimated. How much did you underestimate them when you first heard about how he just had a group of unpowered people, compared to what we get later?
I didn't really, because, the amount of unpowered people still has to outnumber the amount of powered people, and sometimes numbers make up everything. It's that turn economy. Like, D&D has ingrained that in our brains.
But we see that it wasn't even turn economy later, that it's not even numbers.
It was
It's
pure
just
willpower.
skill. Which is
I've
nice.
been training for this my entire life. I'm gonna do my fucking job.
I think it's a little comforting to know somewhere deep down that, people without powers can do things in this world that matter.
And
That's
they
nice
do it well.
to know. At least Coil's men do it well. And they're also outfitted with, like, the best of the best equipment. And are, like, a military-style organization.
Coil is one of the people that supplies enforcers, right?
What do you mean?
Because it vaguely touched on how in the first couple chapters how there were men decked out in similar equipment to what was described in this arc that, you know, protected the boardwalk area and stuff like that. And if you so much as like walked funny, they'd ask you to move.
Maybe, but I think the Protectorate's normal people get similar gear.
Okay.
And the Enforcers don't seem like they're like military style, more like they are guards, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be a good thought. Maybe they're getting their equipment in the same place. It all comes from somewhere, right? We also get Faultline's crew with Neuter, Gregor the Snail, and Labyrinth, as well as Spitfire, I believe, being the named capes with her. How much do we love Gregor the Snail and Neuter?
He's Neuter, not so much. He's a douchey teenage boy with abilities. Not a fan of
Neuter's
that.
pretty good though. Like we see him in the arc interacting with Taylor, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's skilled. I don't have to like him.
They are supervillains. You don't have to like him. We love Gregor though.
Gregor seems like just a big sweetheart.
Yeah, and we also things that we can note about Neuter and Gregor from later in the chapter that we get is they have retrograde amnesia. They don't remember anything about themselves, but past a certain point. Yeah, for reasons we will get it when we discuss later. We don't get the name, I don't think, of the organization that where the crappy named people at. One of them was named Moist. Skidmark and Squealer. Moist, Skidmark, and Squealer are a part of. I don't think we get their name. They do have the name. We don't get it. But they are made a fool of.
I think it was mentioned. It was
Did it? Was it?
The Merchants?
Yes, it was
Something
mentioned
like that.
then. Merchants. Yeah, that's correct. It was named. Maybe not at this point, but the Merchants. They are completely disrespected by the other group, by other groups there. I mean, for obvious reasons, they are drug peddlers and not powerful.
And users. If you are going to peddle the drugs, don't sample the merchandise.
Don't give advice to
that
drug
just
dealers,
makes you look
Cassidy.
bad.
Don't give advice
Sorry.
to drug dealers, Cassidy.
Don't
deal drugs.
But if you're going to,
don't finish the thought. Anyway, as much as we
using
are living,
makes you look bad.
We see all the little power plays they give. Like Kaiser comes in with Fenya and Nenya on each arm and like sits at one head of the table. Coyle comes in with nobody, almost to make himself look better after the fact that he has no backup. And they all have these subtle little power plays that really shows how like the interactions between the Brockton Bay villains work. It's all about power.
The fact that the Travelers and Trickster, I feel like the ultimate power play was them being like, take a seat when they went and made the Merchants, right? I got that right? When they made the Merchants go and sit at the booth. I thought that was such a power play on all of their parts because it made everyone aware like who at the table actually held the power.
Yeah, and
because they were like, yeah, go ahead.
The Travelers are interesting. We don't get any of their powers outside of Sun Dancers and a vague mention of one of their shapeshifters. But, of course, I know all their powers. They're all interesting, because every power Wildbow makes is innately interesting. I don't know how he does it. But he does it.
For some reason, I'm imagining him, especially with the amount of times he's mentioned hallucinogenic drugs. I just want him to get high and, like, watch the, like, National Geographic and be like, oh, there's a sea animal that can do that one really obscure thing. What if a human could? That is what I'm imagining.
I don't think Wildbow has the time, considering he posts these quality chapters twice or 3 times a week.
So he has a 4-year-old. He's a 4-year-old watch National Geographic, and they're like, hey.
Does the thought process for him?
Yeah. Have you ever given a 4-year-old a book with I gave my nephews the Monster Manual, and they went through and they gave me some ideas, dude. Like,
No, I have very
pop a
limited
4-year-old in front of
interaction with very young children. Very limited interactions. I do remember myself very, very vividly as a 4-year-old, though, and I don't think I was all that actively outside coloring outside the lines type of 4-year-old.
oh. Yeah.
For as creative as I am in my teenagerdom, little me was liked numbers, liked reading, liked things that made sense.
Little me would not have liked little you.
Little me
I
would
don't
not
think we
have
would've
liked
been
little
friends.
you. You were
No,
like
I
a
was a
she
little-
devil as a child.
I was a little douchebag, yeah.
Little me had high standards for friendship.
No, you didn't. You bribed some of your friends into being friends. No,
No, I
you
didn't.
blackmailed them.
What are you talking about?
His name. What was his name?
But he wasn't my friend. He was my bodyguard. He was making sure people didn't approach me on the playground. I didn't blackmail him. I said I would pay him with the intention of never paying him. To say I was a logically functional child, to say I did not have villainous tendencies would be a lie. I was a little
Yeah.
mastermind.
Meanwhile, I was the type of kid that stood on one side of the monkey bars and then jumped to the other side of the monkey bars and totally clotheslined myself and ended up at home for 5 days. So,
Yeah, no.
insight into children.
Anyway, enough about us as tiny little devils and monsters as children, and let's talk about these supervillains. These real monsters as adults.
We want to hear about the monsters, not the crotch goblins.
But they band together as an alliance and say they're gonna put a stop to most of their bigger criminal activity and like their hatred of each other, to come together, work as a team, and get rid of the ABB. Coyle mentions an interesting thing that he would like call the Protectorate and tell them that too. He'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna put a stop to most of our huge crime sprees, so you can just focus on the ABB, because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus on the ABB." And we see the whole city pull together, which really confirms Lisa's cops and robbers thing. Like, you step out of line, everyone puts everything to the side to deal with you.
Which is strange, because even Empire 88 was in on it, and that's one of the things where I'm surprised they haven't been, like, put down. But that's probably just because of the big parahuman backing that they have.
Maybe, but I'm also thinking that Kaiser is like a chess master villain, too. He seems like the scheming sort that would be careful about.
Yeah, and we have talked about maybe Kaiser's not actually racist. Maybe he's just using that as a tool.
He does drop some very racist comments in this arc.
Yeah.
But I still think that could I still think that could be a front. I don't know. But he seems very calm and collected. And it is seen that he's using, at least, even if he is racist, not to put that aside, if he is racist, fuck him. Fuck him anyway, but still. That he uses it as a tool to recruit people, and that's why he has so many parahumans, because so many people rally behind his particular brand of idiocy, that they are joining together.
And he seems like an intelligent dude, but have you ever met someone and you're like, wow, you're intelligent, you seem kind of nice, and then they just drop, like we were talking about with Purity, and they just drop that bomb, and you're just like, you're less intelligent than I thought you were.
No, again, I have a very high bar for interaction with other people, and I think your creepometer is very tuned.
There's this sweet old lady I work with, and I was talking with her, and we were joking about me in the ring, because I box, and I was like, oh yeah, there's been a couple times where, having that experience would come in handy. And she started joking about how there was this young man that used to work at that store, young African-American kid who apparently was bisexual, enjoyed lipstick, and painted his nails. And she goes, it's disgusting. And so I had my friends jump him. It is things like that. Like, that's some shit that Kaiser would pull.
Yeah, but you also... I go to the bougiest school in existence. Probably ever.
I go to one that's far too overcrowded.
My interaction with overt racism is very low.
You should hang out with me sometimes. For some reason, I just attract crazy. Like, we should go out in public, which we don't usually do together.
I will keep my distance 10 feet away at all times in case a meteor strikes or lightning strikes you. You seem to be the person with the worst luck possible when you go out into the venture wilds of outside land. Anyway, getting off topic. Lisa and Faultline have something going on. Nothing
Is
important.
It romantic tension?
Lisa says. Are we going to read into it as romantic tension? That'd be weird. Faultline's a lot older than Lisa.
We don't know that for sure.
Yes, we do. Lisa's like 16, 17. Lisa's, and Faultline is at least 20s or older.
Okay, yeah, that is weird. That is really weird.
It's strange. But you know how it is. And of course, the big thing is that Rachel's dogfighting ring that she, attacked rightly, was hook wolves.
Go, Rachel.
Yeah, that only makes me like Rachel more. That not only did she attack a dogfighting ring, she attacked a racist, trash human being's dogfighting ring. So I mean,
an actual neo-Nazis dogfighting ring.
Yeah, I mean, no problems here. Go Rachel. But there is some problems in that she didn't tell her teammates about what she did, so they got kind of caught with their pants down at the meeting, and Brian, who was taking the spot as the crew's leader for the moment, which I think is interesting, that the group, at least Taylor identifies that they don't have a real leader, so Brian has to sort of play pretend when he's up there that he is the actual leader, as part of a power chess move thing that's going on there.
Yeah, I feel like Lisa would just say too much. But sometimes it feels like she has trouble keeping her mouth closed.
A little. We can't even suggest Alec.
No.
Taylor, though, we see later in the arc, she'd be a good leader.
Yeah, but she's still new, so.
She's still new, but eventually, she's going to steal that spot. You can see it happening, right? She doesn't betray the Undersiders. She takes the crown. She's their leader.
And is that going to turn into awkward romantic tension? Because that eventually is going to be when, eventually, is probably going to be paralleled with when her Brian's romantic tension starts to raise. Will that add more to it?
We are predicting right now romantic tension involved with the switching power of leadership to a female leader that is better at it probably than Brian would be.
Far superior.
Because she's the right amount of cautious and smart, but less of a, I don't know how to describe the cautious way that Brian goes about things.
He's learned. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
he's cautious because he's like, oh, I fucked that up once. Don't want to do it again.
Yeah, and I think he might be overly cautious to Taylor's just balancing precociously in the just right amount, which is concerning because she's the just right amount for superability. She's perfect at this.
Yeah, she would not be the just right amount for
heroics.
Yeah, a just right amount in heroics would not have cut out Lung's eyeballs.
So not. Anyway, we'll get to that. But they leave, and Brian confronts Rachel, and once again says how he hates physically confronting Rachel. But he still does it.
Which I'm not gonna lie, if I hadn't known more about Rachel, that would have raised some red flags. I'd be like, when I hate when you make me do this.
But Brian does also say that he says, you making me say that makes me sound like some of my least favorite people in the world.
Yeah, so he's also like, this sounds abusive, dude. Like,
stop! Listen, please. But I think that it is shown that it is more effective the way that Lisa, who knows what's going on with Rachel, and Taylor, who has a vague idea of what's going on with Rachel and just kind of naturally got it at some point, picked up on it, the way that they deal with her might be a little more effective than the physical confronty way that Brian deals with her. So I mean, moot point, but
It's still interesting, especially like how quickly both Lisa and Taylor, who doesn't have any abilities connected to reading people, is able to pick up on that situation.
yeah, Taylor is I think this is a thing about her. She's observant. She reads bitch's body language. She reads Rachel's body language in a different way than Rachel is reading everyone else's, but like she sort of self-polices the way she talks to Rachel. And a lot of the ways that she talks to Rachel and acts around Rachel, in any case, without the knowledge that she gets at the end of this arc, are the right things to do in Rachel's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like not backing down and being bullied by Rachel, but standing up for herself in the right way, but not taking it like too far, coming back, not letting her like see her weaknesses, but also like carrot and stick. She gives Rachel a lot of trust in deals, and we see at the end of the arc that it works sometimes. So, Rachel and Taylor friendship, question mark?
Which is, I literally said I'm rooting for that. I want that to happen.
Anyway, we immediately transfer from this lovely scene that was not nearly as anxiety-filling as the next 2 chapters. Just imagine that all the villains in Brockton Bay sitting in a room was not as heart-wrenchingly terrifying as the next 2 chapters, because Taylor goes to the mall and meets Emma there. Her dad is there, and Emma's dad is there, Alan, and it is painful to read. She punches, slaps, does something physical to Emma, knocks her down when Emma is like smiling and smirking at her through the whole conversation, because she knows that Taylor has not told her dad about what's gone on and is keeping up the friendly facade. He hits her before she realizes she can do it because of her concussion, gets restrained by Shadow, Stalker, and sent home. It feels good as the reader, but it probably wasn't the smartest decision.
Was a bitch moved by Shadow Stalker? If someone is like, well, we're having medical issues, Shadow Stalker should have been like, okay, I'll escort you to your car, not I'll put you in cuffs and make your father escort you to the car. No. How does that do anything to alleviate the panic? If you are literally cuffing someone.
I'm not going to add anything to this conversation. You've covered it. You've covered my feelings aptly. But that's kind of the entirety of that arc, is that. But at the end of it, Taylor reveals to her father that it was Emma that has been so severely bullying her. And the very next chapter, they have gone to the principal. Well, at least Taylor's dad, Danny, called Alan, Emma's dad, and confronted him about it, and Alan decided to go to the official channels because he's a prick. He's a prick.
A lawyer and a prick, which
He's
is
a
not
lawyer.
a good mix.
He's a lawyer and a prick. Not a good mix.
Prick.
And everything about this confrontation proves everything that Taylor has been saying about not wanting to go get help right. And just gives her more reason to hate authority and not trust people with power, because they did nothing to help her. They didn't listen to her at all. And it is kind of horrifying to hear about, just in general.
Especially since Alan is such a prick.
He's such a prick. Like, they were talking about giving the girls 2-week suspension. They caused Taylor to have a trigger event. I know you guys don't know that, but you know it was heinous. Like, you know the things they have done are so completely unforgivable that they are crimes. And you give them 2 weeks out of school since suspension, and you don't listen to any of Taylor's demands. You already chose a side before the conversation happened, because it's clear that the 3 of the girls are probably better off than Taylor. And it is horrifying.
And Taylor's one request was transfer me out of the school. And
Which is,
they were like, well,
so reasonable. In fact, you know, that would kind of, if someone said that something that reasonable to a school district officer, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to press charges, you know, I think they'd be like, okay, yeah, let's do that. That sounds great. You just want to move schools? Okay. And not only that, it's what a school would actually do, I think, in that situation. If they had a reason to, like, remove the person who's being victimized from that situation, they would take it.
The schools,
Not great.
all of them are pricks.
All of them are pricks. Mr. Gladley's a prick. Can we talk about Mr. Gladley for a moment? I'm bringing back my anger for Mr. Gladley. You're a prick, Mr. Gladley.
I thought he was going to come in clutch and be like, these girls need to be dealt with. But instead he was like, you said you wanted to deal with it on your own. That's not what she said.
All of them were, like, not great. The only one who even felt guilty in the whole party might have been Madison, who's not great anyway.
And did we get Madison's parents? Madison's parents were like, yeah, suspend her. Like,
yeah, Madison's parents were also, they were young, so they are the youngest people, like the youngest parental figures in the room. We get that. And they're the only one, but Madison's family, the Clements family, seems to be the only person feeling even the smallest bit of guilt. Like, Sophia's over there looking angry, and Emma's looking smug.
Yeah, Madison is gonna get her ass beat, and she deserves it. Probably the least of the three, but she still deserves it.
Yeah, she does, because the things that have happened to Taylor are heinous, and nothing can absorb them of literal crimes they have committed.
And Sophia's parents, we can't take Sophia out of track because of the structure it provides in her life, and her behaviors might get worse.
That wasn't Sophia's parents.
Take her out of track.
We do get that. Nope. Sophia does not come with a parental figure. She comes with someone who is definitely not a parental figure.
A legal guardian.
Maybe.
Or a parole officer.
That seems more likely.
Especially with what the crap she's doing.
Yeah, because she's the physical one of the three. She's the one who, like, gets into it. Anyway, Alan is a prick. We see where Emma gets it. They're both manipulative and awful human beings, and, you know. When we were 10 years into the future and Taylor is a badass supervillainess, we know who to blame, right? These people in this room.
We're not even gonna blame them because they don't deserve her success.
They don't deserve being tied to the super badass villainess that will be Taylor. Probably.
Eventually. If
everything goes to plan. Our evil plan of rooting her to be a supervillain now.
Because, you know, it's kind of good for her ego.
Yeah, but, you know, I think it's kind of bad for her everything else.
Yeah. This is a fictional world. We can root for the villain in her.
Fictional world, very rooted in realistic human tendencies.
Yeah. What does it? Not a good thing that we're like, you know what? Maybe she should just become a villain. She's just not cut out to be a hero. So that's the next best thing.
Anyway, Taylor makes an emotional decision as she storms out, seeing that no one in the room is going to help her besides her dad being on her side, and she makes a snap decision to join the Undersiders on their raid of the ABB, even though she's still recovering from a concussion. And that's where we leave off that chapter, picking back up as she goes with Rachel to go to take out an ABB warehouse, drug making den that they're going to, one of the locations. I think it is
distribution center.
Rachel and Taylor clearly have the worst draw luck of the Undersiders. Oni Lee was there. Lung was there. Taylor had to be in a group with Kaiser.
Who is a racist prick, prick seems to be the word of the day.
It does seem to be. It is the word of the day. I was a racist asshole.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
racist.
He's a bad person. And even if our theory, like our side theory that he's not actually racist and he's just using that ideology for his own gain, he's still using that ideology for his own gain and spouting off things that would make others think he is, so same thing. at some point, same thing. But Kaiser goes off on his own with Fenya and Menya, leaving Neuter, Labyrinth, Sundancer, Skitter, and Bitch on their own. They deal with Oni Lee.
But first, can we talk about Bitch's power move?
Oh yes, excuse me for not talking about one of the best moments of that chapter. So they're all
This
in a
whole
group,
arc is about power moves.
and Kaiser was like was snapping orders and being the leader, and Rachel just makes Brutus grow a couple feet, and he shakes off from hair growing and spatters blood and viscera everywhere, of which only Skitter, Bitch, and Labyrinth, but Labyrinth doesn't count because she doesn't visually react to anything. Everyone else flinches back, including Kaiser. And then she just walks off. Good move.
A statement.
That was a good move. Good. If there's one thing that Rachel can understand, it's power plays. She knows how to do that. She's good at that. This is why we have Rachel, guys. She's great.
Yeah, we need
to go through
/ Alec for the quips, and we got Rachel for them power plays.
We've got Lisa for information, Brian for Brian, and Taylor
romantic
for being
tension.
Brian for romantic tension, excuse me, and Taylor for being the soon-to-be leader of this group.
Yep, eventually.
Or soon-to-be leader, just the linchpin. She's the linchpin of this group. She's either going to be what builds them up or what breaks them down.
Yeah, and she's already talked about how she would feel bad if she left them completely broken.
She wants to turn them in when they're super badass supervillains, so she can feel better in a very roundabout way.
They turned in really bad people, not just they're teenagers. They were robbing places.
I mean, 2 of them have killed someone. Rachel has. We still don't know who the second person is.
Yeah, but I'm starting to get more and more sympathy for Rachel.
Of course, like Rachel right now is the best person we've met. We now understand Rachel as much as we probably get without seeing inside her head.
Yeah.
So
I really like her.
It's really easy for her to be the favorite right now. I mean, Brutus, next to Brutus, she looks like a shining gold personality because just by association, we've talked about this. Brutus makes her look better.
I'm a good boy. Yes, you are.
We will never let it go. That interlude was great.
It was so good. And it was the 4th one we got, so he's starting them off strong.
He is. And Gregor the Snails wasn't bad either.
No.
But Oni Lee finds and attacks them, and they deal with Oni Lee. We get the MVP of 5.7 coil snipers.
Oh, just yes.
He got thrown off of a 3-story building, got his leg broken, and he still found the rifle that had been tossed off of the building, loaded it, and fired.
Several times, enough to hit Oni Lee just by Taylor being like, over there, and he'd be like, boom. Okay,
enough to make Oni Lee run away. MVP of the chapter, coil snipers.
Which and it was addressed that they are unpowered individuals who are just really good snipers.
And one of them's like a professional medic, so
I'm pretty sure it was the other one that with the
it was the other one.
The spotter.
Yeah. So anyway, coil snipers, MVPs. But Taylor did really well here too. Identified that it was Oni Lee quickly, gathered her forces together, gave off orders, directed things well, and I think after this took charge because Neuter was sort of playing the kind of captain after Kaiser left. And then when Neuter got taken down, Taylor just took over the show and became the star.
The star. I find it funny that we were talking about notes before this started, and for 5.7, which was that chapter, the only thing I wrote was coil sniper is the most badass, and then MVP, and then I highlighted it in pink.
Yeah, as we should. But we get a glimpse of Labyrinth's ability, which might be one of the more powerful abilities we can get. She can create, I guess, solid illusions is one way to look at it, manipulating the terrain around her to be what she wants. Her power is more effective when she is less lucid, however. So it kind of throws her into an altered state of mind.
Just a bummer,
So
man.
sad. We get a line from Neuter later that's like, some powers affect your body, and others affect your mind. We know
Which
that
coming
is.
from him,
I mean,
who is
makes sense.
orange,
He's orange with blue
and has a
hair,
prehensile
weird
tail.
eyes, and a tail. Well, we get a reason for why that might be later as well. What's going on with those monsters parahumans?
Ooh.
I don't know why I'm playing up this mystery. Everyone else has read the arc by now. If you haven't, go read the arc. What are you doing here? Go read Worm.
We are spoiling everything. Step away.
Go read Worm.
But then, like, come back.
Come back. After you've probably finished Worm, because you don't have to have the restraint that we have. But come back, please.
The restraint that I have, because Ashley finished it without me.
Yeah, because now I know everything. And it also will help me when writing more of the Weaver Dice campaign. Actually, knowing things that happen in the timeline. It's good. Anyway, they make Oni Lee run away, and we move on, and Kaiser, Venya, and Menya have yet to take down Lung, so he has become very powerful. And of course,
barely human.
He sees Taylor, and he goes, "You."
He goes,
which we know
which is
translates
supposed to be a you.
Which, you know,
You.
it really translates to you. You're the one that took my dick away.
I have to pee sitting down now.
And
we do know that he'll eventually recover.
Yeah, Lung tosses them around like rag dolls and kind of proves why he's such a dangerous parahuman to deal with. Taylor's so smart. She's so smart even when she has to deal with Kaiser's power playing while they're fighting like an idiot. Sundancer having almost no control of her power, so being very little help. And having to just give orders left and right.
Alright, I'm so sorry, your audio cut out for a moment.
Yeah, your video froze. But I will continue. Taylor's a badass in this chapter.
Totally.
Having to deal with Kaiser's power play maneuvers, Sundancer's loss of control of her abilities, and everything in between. But I think her most badass moment, and probably the one that shows off her just pure intelligence, is Long lifts her up. It looks like he's claimed victory as he plucks a bug from his eye. It's like, oh, a cockroach. Because in the narration, it doesn't tell us that this is what she's done, which is a good reveal. And it looks like he's about to kill her, and he just passes out. And she goes to him and says, "Don't you fucking underestimate me." Because she had a cockroach, put a caterpillar in Neuter's blood, and then put that caterpillar all in to Lung's eye, using his hallucinogenic abilities to make him pass out. And then...
just, like, right there.
And that was super smart. And then Tyler goes from being badass to me going, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no,
oh no.
You know that slippery slope of morality we were talking about? We're moonwalking down it right now. We're moonwalking down it. This chapter is we're like halfway submerged. And in this case, halfway submerged in Lung's blood as she takes a knife and carves out his eyeballs. She calls Lisa first to make sure he'll heal, and then carves out his eyeballs.
And then she justifies it by saying that she's making it safe for the first responders.
She's taking him out. She's finishing the fight. She's taking him out of the fight, making it impossible for him to act. And what she's also doing is becoming a supervillain. Like
Sundancer.
Sundancer is our reader insert right now. She's like, okay, I'm done. We're done. Bye. Nope. We are done. And then Taylor continues to show her prowess as like a leader, as someone who can make decisions and not second guess them until after she's made them, which is important. She prioritizes what she needs to ask first, so she asks Rachel about her dogs. She asks if Sundance okay. Those are the things she cares about. She tells Fenya to get her people to a hospital because Menya and Kaiser were taken out of the fight. And she tells them that if Kaiser has any sense to him at all, he'll forget the whole dog fighting deal. Because, she just saved his life. I wouldn't really want to fuck with someone who just carved out Lung's eyeballs either, so I'd be pretty, okay, whatever you want. Yep.
I'm out.
Yeah. And Nuda dropped the lines about the side effects of powers, which kind of stays with Taylor. At first, Taylor's like, I don't think that happened to me. Do we think that did not happen to Taylor? That there's no mental or side effect to her power?
We've talked about the information overload, and she even touched on it, like how the amount of information she got from her bugs sometimes still gives her nightmares. But beyond that, I mean, we haven't gotten really any of pre-power Taylor, so I can't really say.
We don't know how she changed, if she changed at all. But I think powers change a person, at the very least, because, it's a traumatic event to go through to get your powers. And that trauma changes people.
Remember, if you don't like yourself right now, you are one traumatic event away from being a totally different person. So
please do not encourage our listenership to go out to find traumatic events. You're being such a bad influence. You were giving advice about being a drug dealer earlier. You're encouraging dangerous events.
I'm technically discouraging people from trying drugs because dealing is much more lucrative. But
no, stop. Nope, we can't. Anyway.
I'm always the bad influence. Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. Anyway, we all go through. They get back. Taylor and Rachel get back home. Taylor gives, she stole money from the ABB during the fight, very casually, and I think makes some friends by giving everyone a share of the cut. Everyone, of course, that is not a part of Empire 88, because they already left.
Because fuck Kaiser.
Just fuck Empire 88 in general.
We do not stand neo-Nazis here. No, I don't apologize if you're a neo-Nazi.
Why did you even start apologizing?
Get out!
Bye. We're not friendly viewership for you. I mean, leave a comment and maybe a dislike to support the fact, and listen. That's how YouTube's algorithm works, to show that you're engaging in our content.
Yeah. Start some controversy for us, but also leave.
Leave after. You can leave after. You don't need to come back.
We've already insulted,
but you don't.
We've already insulted neo-Nazis, so by now they've already left a couple of comments calling us some vulgar names, and
perfect. It's perfect.
Which is exactly what we want. You insult us and then leave.
Viewership engagement.
I think we have our priorities straight, and I don't think anyone can argue with us.
Even if it's a negative review, it's a review.
It's a review, which is attention.
But all the Undersiders congregate back at the loft. They wrap up for the day. Lisa drops the bomb about Rachel's whole deal.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that her powers have altered her way of thinking, so she relates more to canine psychology than humans, which explains pretty much everything about Rachel and the way she behaves, combined with her crappy childhood. She doesn't just have canine psychology, she has abused canine psychology.
Ooh, which is never a good thing.
It's not good. But it lets us know a lot about Rachel and a lot about how Taylor's going to deal with her in the future.
Because Taylor's definitely going to go home and Google
Dog
How to deal with
psychology.
abused dogs.
This is what Taylor's gonna do. She's gonna hop on, she's gonna have the Parahumans wiki open in the back with Rachel's page open, and then she's gonna also be Google searching dog things.
I will find it so funny if Rachel starts carrying treats with her, or not Rachel, Taylor starts carrying treats for Rachel with her.
I think
And
that's
it's like,
I think that's a little dehumanizing though, because we see that Rachel, she's not completely a dog.
no.
She reacts better to the way that Lisa and Taylor deal with her than the violent way that Brian does.
I do feel that might be something we see though, is that positive reinforcement by Taylor to Rachel. I think we might see that. Not in the same way we see it in dogs, like give it a treat or throw him a ball, but just like, that was really cool of you, or like good job, or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Like
one of
everyone loves hearing that.
my favorite Rachel Taylor interactions in this chapter is when Rachel just got chewed out by Brian and Lisa, and Taylor just tells her good job for taking down that dogfight ring. And then later in the arc, when they're coming home, Taylor forgot to bring a change of clothes, and Rachel gives her jacket.
Which is cute.
It's adorable.
And that is after Taylor briefly said, like, oh, I thought something really awkward was going to happen, because, like, Rachel, like, kind of just cupped her face, and she was like, oh no, she's going to kiss me.
No, this is
My
Rachel we're talking
broke.
about. Anyway, so moving on from that, we leave off there. And we go into the interlude, which is Gregor the Snail's interlude. We get a look into Fault Line's crew, a little look into the way they work. They run a club. Neuter gets paid hundreds of dollars for, giving people hallucinogenics, because that's literally his power.
But I liked the way it talked about it, because, like, it's not addictive, no major side effects.
You literally can't overdose. I've tried it on other people. Don't ask. It was a combat situation.
So it's literally it's the fun part of a drug. Drugs are not fun. Totally not fun. But it's the fun part of a drug trip without all the bad stuff.
Yeah, the key part is that normal drugs have that bad stuff.
Neuter drugs, that bad stuff.
Neuter drugs, however, apparently don't.
Which I don't want. I'm not going to say that in front of Ashley. I don't want to get scolded again.
You've already implied it. See my disappointing gaze. Listeners can't see this. You can hear it, right? In the tense silence. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, we get a lot more look into the way that powers work into this world a little bit in Gregor's interlude. Because he is a monstrous KP and Neuter are. And they have these symbols on them that look like upside down omega symbols. And that are tattooed on pretty much every monstrous cape that you can ever see has these symbols. And like the story is implying, is they are artificially produced parahumans.
Which is scary.
And an organization is getting better at producing them, to the point where they have produced a girl named Shamrock who has the tattoo but has no physical flaws. Or, like, abnormalities, I suppose is a better word.
Ugh. But can you imagine how appealing that actually would be to the masses?
Powers in
they
a
must
bottle.
Feel so powerless the majority of the time. They're these superhero people running around, and there's no hope to protect themselves unless something really horrible happens to them.
Powers in a bottle.
Yeah.
And this organization has power. They think people cover up things around them. There's like a deep state cover up going on here. People have died for bringing it up on the internet.
If you ever discover a large government secret, don't go and start a blog about it. And, like, just kind of keep it to yourself if you think it's gonna be dangerous.
I think that's
Maybe start a underground insurgents group if you're gonna do anything about it.
pull a fault line. Wait for another person to be stupid and slip up and gather your information and share it with people who need it in a covert way.
Yep. But
don't make a blog. Don't make an angry blog post on the internet about it. Don't do that.
This guy sold me powers in a bottle. Oh.
You completely cut out, and it was really funny because what she said was, oh, like, definitely there was a curse word in there. Unintentional bleeping.
I was imitating a guy, angry ranting, and be like, this broker or dealer guy was so crappy, he gave me powers in a bottle, and okay.
And right at me, so you were saying the curse word.
No, that is me. Yeah, maybe it might be cutting out. Zoom is censoring me.
I'm sorry. That was really funny. Anyway, that sort of wraps up our arc. We do get some mentions of things like possibilities of second trigger events being the reason that capes can bypass the Manton effect.
First reaction is, I'm gonna try and strangle my boss to see if that works.
I mean,
it doesn't.
It makes sense though. Like, logical processing steps. He wasn't actually planning on killing her anyway. I mean, she also says, you idiot, what, if that worked, I would have, killed you, or at least cut off your hand. Do you really? He's like, oh, a hand would have been fine to lose, and she's like, I can't even be mad at you when you say stuff like that. Why?
He's like a squishy little squishy bean. He's not little, but he is squishy.
But that was Arc 5, Hive. We're going to go over the things that we usually do. Any new updates on characters? We didn't get much from Alec this time, so we will start with him first, since I don't think anything should have changed.
No, he was witty. Like, hey, Dwarf, you can call me Skitter, you know. I don't think I'm going to.
No,
I appreciate that. It's almost sibling-like.
Yeah, Alec is the little brother of this group, clearly. Any updates on Brian?
No, we did get a couple of Taylor subconsciously hitting on Brian. Especially, he took off his helmet with it, like an amazing smile, and blah, 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 blah. We get more of that.
Okay. Updates on Lisa?
Not many, but we do know that she sometimes gets overwhelmed if she tries to work on more than one thing, which is good information to have.
She's something going on with Faultline.
Something going on with Faultline.
Now I know there will be some adjustments on this one. Rachel.
I am now a fan.
Okay.
We get a little insight into her,
and next up, our lovely main character, our lovely protagonist, Taylor.
I think she's doing that, that dumb dance trend where you dance outside the door of your car as it's rolling. I think she's doing that down the morality slope.
That's fair. But Taylor really showed her wits this arc and her leadership abilities, which she hadn't previously demonstrated because she lacks a lot of self-confidence in her day-to-day abilities in life. So I think those are two interesting things to note. We've already praised Taylor's intelligence and yet her teenager-like way of making decisions. A rash distrust of authority that is, valid in her case. Very valid. I still say there are things that maybe she could have done differently, like joining the wards.
I think she would have done so good in the wards.
I think she would have done so good in the wards. At the very least, she wouldn't have psychologically traumatized at least one other teenager. Probably for life.
Poor Clock Blocker.
We will never run out of sympathy for Clock Blocker. I can't remember if we got his real name. I'm trying hard not to use it in any case.
I don't recall his name.
I think
so
we did
probably not.
in the interlude. His name's Dennis. I don't think it's that much of a spoiler. His name's Dennis.
Dennis.
His name's Dennis.
That name is just bringing back so many memories.
Anyway, any other thoughts on this arc before I get into some other things?
No, the power plays were on point. The quips were there when needed. Overall, the fight scene was dope as hell. Adults are pricks, and Taylor needs to go to a new school. Those are my notes.
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. Any updates on who is the murderer?
I feel like it changes every time, but I'm back to Alec.
I didn't even do anything this arc.
No, but it's so easy to imagine his abilities fudging up and just turning someone's nervous system to mush.
His ability doesn't seem to be that powerful though, at this point. It seems to be he makes people twitch. I can imagine him making someone like fall over and they fall down a flight of stairs, or fall over and they fall into a train.
Yeah. See,
or fall backwards and hit their neck the wrong way. His power has a lot of ways it could probably have messed up. I can see Lisa cold calculatingly plotting someone's death.
I don't think she'd be the one to go through it with it, though.
No, she'd probably hire someone.
Yeah.
I don't think Brian is the murderer. Do you feel that? Or would it be better?
I don't want Brian to be the murderer.
We've discussed your wanting, but objectively,
yeah,
is Brian the murderer?
No, I feel that Alec is the most logical choice in my head right now.
Okay, that's fair. Then I suppose there aren't many more updates for me, other than the fact that I love Worm so much. I wish there was merchandise that we could buy that like Wildbow made to support.
Yeah, Wildbow, come on, get on that.
You're very busy. You're very busy, Wildbow. Hire someone else to do it for you, Wildbow.
Yeah.
Don't even try. Just keep writing more good things, because you're working on other web series, which we might do. I have to read them. Maybe we'll go in blind with each other this time, and I'll show the equal amount of restraint in a different web series.
How many more arcs do we have?
Many.
Oh my gosh, this series is going to get so long!
There are more than 20, and eventually they're going to get long enough that we'll have to split them into parts. And of course there's Ward, which is really good too, and we're going to read it because it's the sequel.
Okay.
And I've discovered such joy of things about Ward that I'm not going to reveal to you. Just things that make me happy with stuff that you've said. Listeners can put it together if they know what I'm talking about for Ward. Opinions that you've expressed about certain characters.
I don't know what you're talking about, so everyone else can lose their minds.
I'm allowed to drop hit to listeners.
Oh, crap in the comments. I have to read that crap too. So like,
I will.
No, never mind. Go forth with the conversations.
I will read the comments. You will not read the comments.
I won't touch the comments.
I will send comments that are spoiler free to you.
That's a wonderful idea. Never mind. Go crazy.
I will be the moderator for the comments. I think I can manage.
If you haven't read ahead, which I doubt, speculate. If you have, also speculate.
Speculate, but know you're doing it wrong because you know what's going to happen.
And then only comment emojis on the other comments.
Is that your order? If you've read ahead, only speak in emojis?
Well, yeah, because you know there are so many the expressive emojis where it definitely looks like they're doing the side eye. Like, just put that on every comment every comment that's speculation. Just so someone's like, is that side eye because I have it right, or side eye because I have it so wrong?
I've read ahead, so maybe I'll just comment side eyes on everyone's comments. Anyway, we are going to wrap up here. Thank you all for listening. I have been your host, Ashley. This has been my co-host.
I'm Cassidy, and remember to not be a prick.
Stay not a prick. In any case, we will see you all next time.